Hi everyone, it's Carlos. And before I get started with my presentation today, I wanted to ask everybody a question. And have you ever stood in front of the ocean and just watched it sitting there, relaxing, right? That's my question. So, I do have an example to show you guys. Here I did provide three examples of different oceans. They look nice, right? Each one differently, as you could tell. At first, it looks calm, just waves rolling in and out, peacefully, predictable. But if you look a little longer, you realize something important. The ocean is never actually still. As you can see in my first one, the waves are really high, really mid, and really low. So beneath the surface, there are currents moving, pressure shifting, ecosystems thriving, and the storms forming maybe possibly a million miles away from where you're standing or where the ocean you're currently at. I'm like the ocean because I have a depth beyond what people see. I'm constantly adapting to changes, and even when I appear calm, there's strength beneath my surface, right? First, I'm like the ocean because I have depth that isn't visible. When you look at the ocean, right, from the shore, you only see the surface, but they don't see the million depth underneath the ocean. Does that make sense? You don't see the life, the pressure, or the movement happening below. And I think that's how I'm similar to how people sometimes see me. On the outside, I may seem very calm, very quiet, or even collected, most people tell me. But internally, there's always movement. I carry goals, I carry responsibilities, I carry stress, I carry ambition, I carry creativity, and I carry expectations that people may not immediately notice outside. As a college student, balancing academics, responsibilities, personal growth, there's a lot happening beneath the surface. There's times where late at night I'm studying. There are moments where I have self doubts. There are times when I question whether I'm doing enough or I'm being enough. But just like the deep ocean, pressure doesn't destroy me, it shapes me. The deeper parts of the ocean are formed by pressure over time. In the same way, the challenges in my life, I have added depth to who I am deeply inside myself. There are even more moments where I reflect more, I'm more aware and more driven. So, yeah, there's a lot of different parts of, being inside of me. What you see on the surface is only a fraction of who I am. Second, I'm like the ocean because I constantly changing, I'm constantly adapting. The ocean never stays the same. The tides rise and fall. Waves crash harder during storms and soften during calm weathers. Seasons change the temperature of the water, yet through all of that, the ocean continues moving. Life works the same way. There are calm reasons where everything feels steady. Then there's the storms, like let's say stressing about exams, personal challenges, unexpected obstacles. I learned that resisting change only creates more tension. The ocean doesn't fight the tide, it flows with it. There has been moments in my life where I had to adapt quickly and times where plans didn't go my way, unfortunately. Times when I felt overwhelmed, balancing responsibilities. But like I said, the tide, I learned to adjust instead of giving up. Adaptability has become one of my biggest strengths. I learned that growth requires flexibility. If the shoreline shifts, the waves adjust. And if my circumstance shifts, I need to adjust to it as well. Because like I said, not everything goes my way or um, sometimes you'll get an obstacle in front of you, and life hits you in different ways. So you want to make sure you have to be flexible, you have to be adjusted to it, and honestly adapt to it as well. The ocean does teaches us resilience, not by avoiding storms, but they're surviving in them too. Finally, I like the ocean because strength doesn't always have to look loud. When people think of strength, often I imagine something aggressive, something powerful, in an obvious way, right? That's what we all think when we think of like strength. But the ocean's strength is different. It can look peaceful while holding intense force. It shapes the coastlines over time. It carries rock slowly, but persistently. It holds power, but quietly. And that's what I relate to like that. I'm not always the loudest person in the room. I may not always craving or demanding attention, but that doesn't mean I lack strength. My strength shows I'm persistent, I'm constantly, and I'm continuing forward towards even when things feel unsure. The ocean doesn't need to roar every second to prove its power. Its presence alone is enough. I learned I learned that real strength is steady. It's showing up every day. It's staying grounded during chaos moments. It's protecting what matters without being recognition, which is really awesome about the ocean. So that's why I really could relate to how it affects us and how I think it really does help, and I could relate so much to it as well. So in my conclusion, I would say, so when I say I'm like the ocean, I don't just mean like the water or that I relate to the waves. That's not what I'm trying to say. I mean like I like the ocean. I carry depth that isn't always visible on the outside. I adapt to changing tides. I endure storms. I hold strength that doesn't always need to be loud, need to be real. The next time you look in the ocean, remember that what you see on the surface is only part of the story. Beneath the lies movement, it relies resilience, and there's quiet power. So in many ways, that's who I am too. Thank you.